Welcome to the Tom Matt Show. You are walking through the front door of the refirement zone. And now, your host, Tom Matt.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Tom Matt Show. So happy to be here. So happy to be alive. Thank goodness. The show we're going to have today is going to be one of the people that helped me maintain my health. If you know what I'm talking about, if you stick around and you listen to this thing, Matt Johnson, president of On Target Living, will be with us here. Easy is never the answer. It's not the answer. It's never the answer. So I'm titling this episode. Last week, remember, we had Doug Resegi back, my brother from another mother, finding inner peace through nature's classroom. He's our hunter, non-hunter, kind of our go-to guy with all of that. We have other people that we bring in for that topic and category, but Doug is just... And he drilled it as usual. Most prepared guy ever when it comes to having notes. And just applaud him and all of our guests that come on this program. It's a wonderful opportunity. Just like today, getting with a guy that I really admire who's had a really great career so far. And he's continuing to grow and proliferate. Matt Johnson, president of On Target Living, co-author of the book Capacity. Great book. I read that. Long time ago. President On Target Living, world's leading authority on human capacity training, and that is a fact. And I'm going to tell you guys more and more throughout this episode how much On Target Living impacted my life, my wife's life, my family's life, and all of the things that I do on radio, through Matt, through Chris. You guys all know the whole story, but the On Target platform is the real deal. I could swear, but I won't because it's radio, but during the breaks, if you want to see me swear on video, go for it. You'll see me over there. But it's true. I mean, it's all good. Matt is a very sought-after keynote speaker, an excellent speaker, just like his dad, specializing in unlocking high performance and driving engagement. He has a different vibe. Chris Johnson, his dad, has his vibe. Matt Johnson is a unique individual, has his own vibe, and it's awesome. It's really good. He's ready to help you expand your human capacity. Matt and his team at On Target Living worked with many, many Fortune 500 companies and organizations to break down barriers and help create, and I like this word a lot, collaborative cultures, because together we help each other get better. You're trying to figure this out on yourself by looking at social media. Matt and I were just talking about this pre-show. If you're trying to get that 1% from social media, you might want to just go over to On Target Living's website, OTL, and Google OTL, On Target Living, and start there. Forget the social media stuff. The social media stuff is bullcrap. I mean, in today's knowledge economy, you've got to find those people that will help you and collaborate with it. Leaders, athletes, teams around the world rely on Matt's systematic approach, which helps them to be their best. And I believe that because they help me become my best. Absolutely. In his free time, Matt is a big time golfer. I mean, probably could, when he gets older, he'd probably be close to qualifying for the senior tour. I would say that. We'll have to ask him that in a second. Masters at home as an at-home chef. I wonder where that came from. And is most passionate about being a husband to his wife, Holly. His son is Ez. Did I say this? I asked you that earlier.
Yep,
I'm
bingo.
sorry. Ez, Hadley, and Karis, 3 children. He's a good guy. He's a good dad. He's a good boy, and I like him a lot. Known him for a long, long, long time, and I haven't had him on the show enough, but we're going to start having him on the show more because the philosophies of On Target Living and their podcast, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, their podcast is spot on, and we'll link back to that in the description. But without much further ado, I want to bring my friend, Matt Johnson, into the show, president of On Target Living. Matt, thank you so much for taking the time today. I appreciate you.
Man, what an intro. I've had that intro read before, but nobody ever gives it any depth, any energy, any juice. You like to do that. So thanks for having me.
Well, you know, the drill here, bro, it's going to be, this is your life, this first segment, and then you're going to set up, you know, where we're going to go with this and what people need to know, because easy is never the answer, as I titled this from your notes that you sent over to me. But go ahead, get warmed up, take some time. We've got a good 6 minutes to go in this segment, and we'll get everything set up so we can entice people to want to listen to this whole.
I'll give you a little bit of a snapshot. So yeah, I've listened to your podcast, your show for as many years as you've been doing it. And I remember I was on the show a long time ago, but from a from afar, I've sat back, and my father's been on the show. You'd have to tell me, but a lot. And so I always love your episodes. But who am I? I like to tell people, I grew up with this health freak of a father that drove a Frito-Lay truck. At the same time, I had a Lebanese mother that has 42 first cousins. And so what we learned real early that transformed into what I do now is you can feel your best and enjoy the food you eat when you combine kind of this methodology with this thing called social and love, which is food. I think one of the things that I'm seeing that really hurts me at the core is we think food is only fuel. We see all these kind of headline news and scientific journals that you can't eat this, it causes cancer. And so we get so fixated on cutting out these certain foods. Yet on the other side, we all know that food is love, it's social, it connects us. And sometimes people stay in that realm too much of food should only taste good and I should want what I eat at all times. So we were taught at a young age that you can eat healthy and make it taste pretty good. And that's kind of, a little bit of my backstory. But, I was born and raised in Michigan. I love Michigan. You said that I could be on the senior tour. I can't. I won't be on the senior tour. I'm a good golfer, but if you watched the senior PGA this last weekend in Michigan, I got a lot of room for improvement to play with those folks.
I like your humility. I mean, you were a college golfer, bro. I mean, so don't sell yourself short on this thing because I know you can play. So
yeah, there's a lot of college athletes that don't go to the next level. I can compete. I'm very competitive. I love the game of golf, but I've accepted a long time ago that I'm going to enjoy it as a passion more than as a profession.
I mean, we could talk probably the whole show, and I really do look forward to having you back and talking more and more about this. Today will be more of a high altitude. What can On Target bring to you? Who's Matt Johnson? Those kinds of things. But yeah, that having those social outlets and those hobbies and those things that keep you moving. What is it about the moving? What do you do with your children, Matt, and your wife, Holly? What do you guys do together as far as your activities? What do you like to do with the kids for other young parents out there?
I think movement is key. We have a busy life. We have 3 kids from ages 5 to soon to be 5, and then once sandwiched in between that. And I have 3 very passionate, very energetic, play hard kids. They don't really nap. They go until they're done. And so I don't know if it's something intentional. It's just our lifestyle. We move, we get out, we want to be active. We like to eat and cook and do things together. One of the things that that we were blessed with, but is a challenge, is my middle daughter has a genetic disorder. And so she is unique in her own way, but she goes very hard. It's a lot of effort from our household, but we just have so much fun. And I just try to expose them to everything. My son loves football. He likes basketball, and he's just starting to get into golf. I'm not pushing anything on any of my kids, whatever they find naturally, but they'll definitely be exposed.
For sure. I mean, I can see that happening. Talk about your mom. Now, your influence of I don't even really care if we talk about your dad very much.
Yeah, who's that guy? Who is that
guy? That guy, where is he? I'll probably talk to him on the phone. But let's talk about your mom and your grandma, and from both sides, because you were talking about that Lebanese family of yours. Talk about your mom and the influence that she's had, and your sister. Your sister's a wonder kid because you're a twin, and she's super talented as well. Please talk about those two.
So number one, I have a twin sister. She's older by a minute. She'll let you know that right off the bat. She's older. She tells me what to do. I like to say we're very similar, but we're very different. And you said that thing about vibe. We have our own vibe, but my mom is Lebanese, and if you've ever met a Lebanese woman, they love to cook and they love to connect, and she just brought so much energy to us.
And I gave Matt a leading question, which you never do in talk radio, and then I got to go to break. See, this is how it's going to roll. It's so easy talking about On Target Living, how much I love On Target Living, how impactful they can be on your life. Easy is never the answer. Matt Johnson, President, On Target Living. This is The Tom Matt Show.
This segment of The Tom Matt Show is brought to you in part by the Source of Light and Power by band leader Archival and broadcaster Mitch Anderson. Hear the sound that is endorsed by Odyssey headphones, linear tube audio, RME converters, and Peluso microphones. at sourceoflightandpower.bandcamp.com.
Welcome to the Tom Matt Show.
Second segment of the Tom Matt Show is sponsored by Craig Stiles, Ameriprise Financial. Full disclosure, as I say every episode, we have all of our refirement zone savings. Yeah, we coined that. Refirement. I didn't retire. I refired. I got so many things going on here. Join my club, the Refirement Zone. Join Ameriprise Financial like we did, because then I don't have to worry about managing I don't have to manage diddly crap when it comes to money. Craig Stiles is the man. He is our financial advisor, and we want him to be your financial advisor. He can help you plan for the life you want today and well into the future with the right financial advisor. And you know, Ameriprise is a big company, you guys. So if you're listening to this and you're picking up the podcast and you're in California or Texas or Florida or wherever the heck you are, there's Ameriprise offices everywhere. You can always call Craig, 1-800-528-1355. Ask for a referral to the area that you're at. Listen to the 25 or 26 episodes he's been on this show over many, many years now. And listen to it, because the topics are all broke up that way. You can email him, craig.stiles@ampf.com. His local number is 517-483-4853. His offices are located at the new spot, which is 2651 Coolidge Road, Suite 103, East Lansing, Michigan, 48823. Here are stations that carry us, have carried us, will carry us, past, future, whatever. Michigan Talk Network is crazy, and there's like 50 stations in that thing, and they're not all talk radio, but a lot of them are. And then there's our independent stations that have carried us. And the first station to ever carry us on broadcast radio was WGHN 92.1 FM in Grand Haven, Michigan. If you ever want to get and see a beautiful place, go to Grand Haven. It's awesome. WGIM 1240 AM in Lansing, Michigan is the flagship of the Michigan Talk Network, thanks to Steve and Ivy Gruber. They've always believed in us, and they keep us on the syndication, which is awesome. We're all over the place with that. WJRW 1340 in Grand Rapids, WKLQ 1490 Muskegon, Whitehall. This is not all of the stations. This is just a snapshot of them. If I miss any station, send me a note, tommattshow.com, to the contact box, and I'll make sure I put you on this read. WKAR, the big stick at Michigan State University, carrying us at Sundays at 5, AM 870, East Lansing. All of these stations stream our stuff. 102.3 is the FM simulcast. Again, thanks to Craig Stiles for creating Desideri Analytics. This is his proprietary algorithm. Actually helped a student friend of mine, Anya Gerstenberg, get a 4.0 on her capstone senior project, computational math kid, on Desideri Analytics and that algorithm. That's a true story. So I want you to check that out, because that's what puts Craig over the top. And that's why I don't worry about diddly crap when it comes to my money, because our money, I should say. When it comes to that, I don't want to have to manage anything. I want to do this. I want to do this stuff and talk to my friends like Matt Johnson, our guest today, president of On Target Living. Easy is never the answer. Matt, we didn't finish the thread with your sister and your mom, and I want to give them due justice, because they're both super talented and impactful in your life. Please talk a little bit more about your family as far as that goes, and then we'll jump into the topic.
My mom taught us so many different skills. In the kitchen was a big skill. So with 42 first cousins and a big family, you're going to get in the kitchen, you're going to cook food, you're going to try to socialize and love. And my sister's a registered dietitian. She likes to say this, and she's coined it, I think, beautifully, is food gives us fuel. It also gives our genes information. And so we have control of how we feel. But food also connects us. It's love. And so I believe, and my sister will say this, my mom taught us that love connection. My dad taught us the fuel connection. And so that was a big part of our life. But we were taught hard work. My mom's worked hard her entire life. She still actually works in the business. I'm trying to get her to work less as she's got all these grandkids to hang out with. But yeah, big part of our life, and still a huge inspiration, but also keeps us straight and narrow on the right path.
Well, she's the grounding force. I mean, the women in our lives are they're the stabilizer. They're the thing that steers the ship. They're in charge. They're the captains of everything. And without them behind the scenes, we can't do this creative kind of work. I'd love to start off with you, Matt, and explain to the listeners, because perhaps they're new to On Target, maybe they're new to my show. Let's talk about what On Target is first before we jump into the entrepreneurial aspect of On Target Living. Please explain the whole the historical perspective. You got about 4 or 5 minutes to go here, and I'm going to let you have the rest of the segment. Please talk about On Target Living.
Yeah, I mean, On Target Living to me, if you're going to simplify it, is a lifestyle. It's a methodology. It's a way of educating, but also motivating and inspiring people to feel their best. Our slogan is "You have the power to feel your best," and I get more passionate about this every single day as I see people not feeling their best. And so nobody has the control over you feeling your best. You have the power to feel your best. And the way that we do that is through 3 pillars: how to rest, how to eat, and how to move. And how do we do that? We have products, we have services, we speak, we podcast, we write books, we write blogs. We just try to motivate and inspire people to take control of their own health. I tell people all the time, I can't do the work for you. I'll never do the work for you, but I'll guide you, I'll motivate you, and hopefully try to nudge you in the right direction.
So talk about the historical perspective from when it started, when you came into it, because we want to blend in the entrepreneurial side of you taking over the business. Go ahead, Matt, please.
My father started the business a long time ago, has been doing this for almost 40 years. And I came in the business in 2011. And one of the things I tried to do is take Chris Johnson, the business, and make it into this On Target Living business that is not in a bad way, but more than just Chris Johnson. It's going to outlive, it's going to be passed on. And so that was the first thing in 2011. I came from school knowing that I was going to go in this field in some way. But I also had an entrepreneurship minor, the first group of students at Grand Valley State that went through the entrepreneurship minor program. It's now a major at Grand Valley State, one of the best in the country. You know, growing up with my father, I always saw him be successful, but I saw some people, some trainers, some other health influencers that never connected the business. And one of the mistakes I see in the health and wellness space is if it's not a business, if it's not a career, it's a hobby. And so that was my initial entrepreneur roots of how am I going to bring my vibe, my value to On Target Living. That was my first kind of project. And I came on board and I got to title my own title, but it was business development. And the first thing that I did is I tried to create On Target Living as a brand versus just Chris Johnson, which Chris Johnson, my father, is the part of the DNA. It's part of the founding story. It's part of the methodology. But my vision is this thing will be bigger and larger and last longer than any of us currently building it.
Perfect. I'm going to carry this through, Matt, because we're going to come up on break. Let me reset everybody. Matt Johnson's with us today, president of On Target Living. If you're wondering how to get your game going in your life, this is the platform that helped launch me into where I am now. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind. 100%. It was Chris Johnson and the platform of On Target Living. And when we come back, we're going to talk more about the entrepreneurial behavior and some of the little things that can help, because it's a lot of small things that make the big picture. And the one thing that Matt was just talking about, making On Target Living sustainable, that's where we're going with this. You're listening to The Tom Matt Show.
Thank you again to our Segment 2 sponsor, Craig Stiles of Ameriprise Financial. For more information on services provided by Craig, please visit ameripriseadvisors.com/Craig.Stiles or by calling 517-483-4893. You're tuned in to The Tom Matt Show.
Welcome to The Tom Matt Show.
Welcome back to The Tom Matt Show. Third segment sponsored by White Law PLLC, where justice meets compassion. White Law is your advocate in times of need. They will be here to listen, support, and fight for what you deserve. I reached out to Jamie last week for a friend who was in need of some consultation, some advice. He got right back to me immediately. It's one of those things. If you need to get a hold of White Law and you don't know the number, you don't have the number, here's the phone number for you, 517-777-9785. White Law is your advocate in times of need. Reach out to me. I will reach out to Jamie, and we'll get things going for you because they are here. I am here to listen, support, and fight for what you deserve. You can, again, contact White Law for your free consultation. visit whitelawpllc.com. And again, call 517-777-9785. And remember, all of our sponsors, bottom of the homepage, they have quarterly visits that they come into the radio program. So there's lots of content. We've got Craig, we've got Jamie, we've got Brock. Lots of episodes from our sponsors so that you can get to know them, because we're all about relationships on this radio program, as are all of our sponsors and our guests, like Matt Johnson, president of On Target Living. Easy is never the answer. We're talking about the journey of On Target Living and how Matt is, when he came into the business, he wanted to take the Chris Johnson On Target Living and turn it into the On Target Living sustainable model, because that's the way you build a business. You have to have something that's sustainable, because we all eventually will be moving on, doing something else. And I applaud him for what he's doing with this. So you've made some changes, Matt, with, and here we go with the entrepreneurial stuff, but you've made some changes now that you are fully in charge and making sure everything's getting taken care of. And let's talk about that and enlighten everybody as to your new location, what you guys provide. I mean, Sandy and I have purchased many, many products. We've bought your wheatgrass for, like I said, I don't even know, 13, 14 years now? A long time. Long time. Please talk about all of the new things that have been happening with On Target Living. Well,
there's a lot of new things. I think that's my entrepreneurship DNA, always working on something new. But I bought the business January 1st from my father. Now he still is heavily involved, works every single day, but it's going to be 67 this year. He wanted to pass it on. And I like to tell people, and when I mentor people, that you hear people say like a means to an end. You hear that slogan say. And so if Chris Johnson created this amazing company and all this work, but when he decides that he doesn't want to do it anymore, that's the end. And one of the things I try to do, and this isn't to say nobody is valuable, is I was trying to make him more of a means without an end. And so take what he's created and developed and tweak it and adapt it and make it better, but also let it have the sustainability. So that's my entrepreneurship mindset. We got a lot of things going on. Right now we have 3 different locations, but we're really a digital company where we're all over the country. Our e-commerce platform, our podcast, our app, emails. We have customers in every single state. I was just down in Tampa keynoting and continue to do that kind of work. But, my biggest thing right now that I'm trying to do is, and it's your theme, easy is never the answer. Everybody wants to be viral. They want to have the attention of a lot of these bodies. But one of the things that I realized early on is the type of work that we do is not 30 seconds. It's not viral. It's not going to be something that you sit and get entertained the whole amount of time. And so it requires slow, progressive growth. And as an entrepreneurship, you don't really like to always accept that, but that's the truth. And so that's what we've been building slowly. And each year we grow faster and bigger, but we do it in a way that not only is sustainable as a business, but it's also the most valuable for the customer. I can come up with new products. I could sell more widgets. I could keynote more times. But how do you keep the value ratio with the growth ratio? That's what I'm constantly battling.
How is that working out for you with all of this? Because you've got a lot of balls that are flying around in the air, and you seem like you're really well balanced and you're traveling. So you must have a pretty decent system happening. How's that working for you?
Yeah, I mean, you got to have systems. I think sometimes you fake it to make it. I have 3 kids. It's a different season. It's busy. My wife says, like, why are you doing all these things? Well, you're trying to put in the effort now for less maybe effort and difficulty down the road. And so, there's a slogan, and it plays right in what we're talking about today. Easy will become hard, and hard should come easy. And so what does that mean? If you just always do the lowest hanging fruit, the easy thing, because you don't have the effort, the energy, the time, things get harder. Same thing with your health. If you don't invest, if you don't prioritize, if you don't put the value there, your health gets harder. And so that's how I live my life is when I see an opportunity, it's called eating the frog. I try to do the hard things first. Having 3 locations, buying the business, having 3 kids, it's hard right now. It's a challenge. It's a balancing act. but I have a vision for what I think is possible, and this is required to hit that vision.
What is that vision? What do you see? What is your dream?
The dream is to help people transform their health, and the way that you do that is you have to be top of mind. You have to grab their attention. So having more people listen to the podcast, have more customers buying superfoods for themselves, all those things add up. And we used to be a keynote business, so a B2B style business. And we still do keynote and speak, but just to give you an idea, once upon a time, our business was 90% revenue generated from keynotes and maybe 10% generated from something else. Today, that ratio is close to 80 from everything else and 20% from keynotes. And so we've transformed drastically. COVID was a absolute multiplier. I told the team in the middle of COVID, we're going to pivot to 2.0. And then about 6 months into COVID, I said, we got to pivot to 3.0 because you can't just keep expecting that thing to stay the same.
Very good. Very well said. And I like it a lot because you talked about slow progressive growth, but you can't have fear. And that's the thing, Matt, is like people get so it's all in the head. I mean, you got to believe in what you're going to do. You got to believe that the On Target Living platform works. And this is where I'm going to pitch and sell right now, everybody. I'm telling you right now, the On Target Living platform is what got me to the position that I am in at this moment in my life, which is I am about 3 days away from my 65th birthday, and I am feeling the best I have ever felt in my life, and my numbers prove it. I mean, it's not just the feeling, it's way more than that. And I give On Target Living because they were the catalyst. On Target Living can be the catalyst, and as Matt was just saying, they have changed their whole philosophies and the products that you can get from On Target Living, which we will talk about here. Matt, I got a minute to go before we go to break. We're going to talk about products. Set this up for the next segment, would you please, on where you want to go with this? What's important?
You said something. I mean, all we are is the guide. And so when you look at our business, really what we're trying to do is just guide people. And so 95% of what we're guiding people on is not a product. It's not something you have to invest money in. It's you. It's you prioritizing. It's you kind of laying the foundation. And so there's three things I'd like to talk about. First, creating a foundation. Rest, eat, move. That's our foundation. Number two, I think the entrepreneurship behavior for business owners is something that has to be discussed. Love to talk about that. And then number three is you got to create these things into habits. You were talking about the refirement zone, the beliefs. Habits are who we become. And if we don't expect or if we don't have a vision that our foundations lead to habits, then I think we miss on true potential.
Can you tell this guy knows how to do a podcast? Because in a radio show, I mean, it's like, this is so easy to talk to a guy like Matt Johnson. I enjoy the heck out of it. And so we come back for the rest of the program, everybody. We're going to talk about those three things that Matt just discussed and move forward. How do we help you get better? Because that's the bottom line. That's the whole point. You're listening to The Tom Matt Show.
Thank you again to our segment 3 sponsor, White Law PLLC, where justice meets compassion. White Law is your advocate in times of need. We are here to listen, support, and fight for what you deserve. Contact White Law today for your free consultation. Visit us at whitelawpllc.com or call 517-777-9785. This is The Tom Matt Show.
Welcome to the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome back, everybody, to this week's episode of the Tom Matt Show. Matt Johnson, president of On Target Living, is my guest today. Easy is never the answer. The fourth segment of the Tom Matt Show is sponsored by Brock, selling team of Keller Williams Realty. Call Brock today, 517-853-6408, or his cell phone number is the key number, 517-303-3262. Tell him, text him, leave him a voicemail. He'll get back to you. Tell him you heard it from Tommy. That way he knows, because all my radio friends call me Tommy, and that's fine. And Brock, again, full disclosure, helped us sell Big House Holt, helped us buy Little House Lansing. Thanks to Mike Dedman. How you doing, Mikey? I always like to say Mikey's name because he's such a good guy. The team over there is like the team at On Target Living. When you find these companies that have these strong people, they are the essence of what we need to build around. That's what you can do with the selling team of Keller Williams Realty. And Brock, again, the reality of real estate is that's his category, his topic. He's owned that thing for, I don't even know now, 3-4 years that he sponsored that thing. But he's got probably 20 episodes, I think, that he was just on recently, and he comes on quarterly. And that's the same thing with our sponsors. That's how we do with it. Most agents start marketing after you list with them, not Brock. Brock is investing like with our show because he wants to provide you with the best bang for your buck. And the quick story that I share a lot, and I'm going to share really quickly right now, is my former neighbor next door, Mike. He came to me. He got a job offer. This is several years ago now. He was inquiring about his house. I asked him, what do you want for it? He told me. I said, I think you could probably get more. You need to talk to my friend Brock. I did not. That was it. There was no pitch. There was no sales. There was nothing. He got with Brock, unbeknownst to me. Next thing I know, there's a sign from Keller Williams, the selling team, in his front yard. Sold the house within a week. Got $20,000 over what he's told me in my living room. And that is a true story. So take it from me. We're all about integrity here. That's the way it rolls. That's it. All right. Just like my friend Matt Johnson, president of On Target Living, as I said earlier, On Target Living has been so influential in my life, my wife's life, my family's life, through all their products, through all of their coaching, through all of the meetings we've had over at the building. I mean, so many times. And Matt's going to become a regular. We want him as a regular. He's a great guest. And we're going to talk more about how we help you become a better and higher performer, because that's what they're all about. The first thing that Matt wanted to talk about was the foundation. All right, here you go, big boy. It's all you. I'm going to give you lots of time these next 2 segments to talk about On Target.
Here's how my brain works, being a sports guy, but there's all these new stadiums, $2 billion, $3 billion, SoFi Stadium, the Las Vegas Raiders, Georgia Dome. And so when you build a stadium, all the energy and excitement and media is the Jumbotron, the collapsible roof, the design, the blimp view. But all of those stadiums take 3 to 5 years to build the foundations. Because if they don't invest in the foundation, the cement, the rebar, everything underneath what you see, that thing is going to crumble to the ground. Yet all the sexiness and appeal is everything above the foundations. And so at On Target Living, it's not about the easy, the most attention-grabbing, the most sexy thing. It's how do you build your foundations to feel your best? And it's always these 3 pillars: how to rest, how to eat, and how to move. And intentionally, we have them in that order. You have to prioritize managing stress and sleep. That's why rest is number 1. Nutrition follows it right down the path. You got to, if you want good energy, and I think energy to me is what I think is the most precious commodity, you need to eat the right food. And the last thing, we're designed to move. The human body and the human mind is designed to move. We think about the physical benefits, getting strong, fitness, flexibility, but what about the mental benefits? When people move their body mentally, they are happier, they are healthier, they are more productive, they think better. And so those are the foundations, and it's like that stadium. If you don't have good foundations, you might be able to dabble and do some things short period. But if you're on this refirement zone, trying to live to 80, 90, maybe 100, and we just talked about in our podcast a couple of weeks ago, how long do you want to live? You got to make sure that foundation is solid.
Well, here's the thing what I just took away from that, Matt. You're listening to Matt Johnson, president of On Target Living. Easy is never the answer, title of today's episode. To me, Matt, the most valuable resource that everyone has is time. And so if you don't have a model and you're out there floundering and you're looking at social media and you're changing your platform all the time, you don't have that solid foundation like you're talking about, these pillars that you're giving to us, you're wasting your time. I take it from me, guys. I didn't get alcohol free until I was 38 years old. Okay. I'm glad it happened then. it would have maybe been better earlier. Who knows? I mean, those are things you can't answer. But time is so valuable, and that's why you have to really prioritize where you're going to put your commitments in. So the foundation is the key.
Let me challenge you on that time for a second, because I think you're saying the same thing, but I see this every day when I present. I throw up this clock on this big slide, whether it's 2 screens or 3 screens, and it's a clock. And I ask this question, I set them up, they know they're set up, but they still answer the same thing. What's your most valuable commodity, most precious commodity? Something you trade. And everybody says time. And I agree, time, we get in this trap, we want more time. But I also then say, well, have you ever had a ton of time and no energy? And everybody kind of laughs and says, yeah, I've been there before. And then so if we think about that and we say, time is precious, but without energy, it's crummy. And so if we can remanage and recreate this mindset that if we manage energy first, no matter how much time you have, that time is more valuable. And so that's kind of the methodology we try to teach, especially entrepreneurs that say, I don't have enough time, I got too many things going on, I'll get to it later. Fine. But the problem is you're trading energy for time, when if you can increase your energy, that time gets exponentially different. And that's why we wrote Capacity is, how do you expand human capacity? Big start is you got to prioritize your health.
I'm totally good with that. And that's one of the reasons I love doing this show so much, Matt. Matt Johnson's our guest today, president of On Target Living. That's a great rebuttal. And I'm totally accepting of that. And, they go hand in hand. And if you're right, it would be a crummy, man. If you had your time and you felt terrible, if your energy was low, yeah, that makes total perfect sense. So I appreciate you saying that. And that's really, really good. And that kind of folds into, and we got a couple, 3 minutes to go before we go to break here. Probably won't finish this point, but the time management, the energy management for business owners. That was your second pillar. Let's talk about that. Set this up because we probably won't finish this thread, but go ahead, start it off.
One of the inspiring role models in my life was my grandfather. I would say I got my business savviness from my grandfather. He was a real estate developer, knew how to put a deal together, smooth, cool, under pressure. And my father, I would say, is great at business, but he's more charismatic, relationship based. And so my grandfather, one of the things I learned from him is he was very successful, financially successful, but he never had his health. And if he was here today, I would tell you that he would say he would do anything financially to have that health back. And so this entrepreneurship behavior of how do you be successful, I think that's the drive, but how do you be successful and also have your health, have your relationships, have a balance, have a variety where you're not just dependent on being this individual that's only successful if it's the business. So that's to me, as an entrepreneur, that I always could see people that are successful, but they would sacrifice some of the most important things to be successful.
Like what? What would they sacrifice?
Their health. I mean, how many people are trading money for health? And you see some of these billionaires and you think, well, if once I become rich, I'll focus on my health. You see that in Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, and they invest in their health after they become the richest men in the world or women in the world. I think that's a bad mindset, and there might be some outliers there, but for the majority of people, let's just say you're running a business, $1 million business, $500,000 business, you're a solopreneur, or you have 10 people, 100 people, you can, and what I find and I coach people on, you actually perform better, you're a nicer person, you have better relationships, you have a better family life when you take care of yourself. And one of the things I'll say, and I know we're going to break here real quick, is I got in this business to help people look good and feel good. I'm in this business now to help people give what they're capable of giving. It's a completely different way of looking at why health is a priority.
There's a term that I like to bring up, and it feeds into what Matt was just talking about, and self-narcissism, which is a good thing. We'll talk a little bit about that when we come back. And we're also going to hammer this point home of establishing the habits. How do we make them sticky enough that they are sustainable? You're listening to The Tom Matt Show.
Thank you again to our segment 4 sponsor, Brock Fletcher, real estate agent at the selling team with Keller Williams Realty. For more information on services provided by Brock, please call his personal cell phone at 517-303-3262. or by emailing Brock at kwsellingteam.com. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome to the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome back, everybody, to the fifth segment. You're picking this up. You got it on the syndication. You're either getting it over there at WKAR or you're picking up the podcast, because on the syndication, they only take the first four segments. And so sorry, Charlie, because the fifth segment's usually the best segment of the whole show. So please come back to TomMattShow.com, check out the podcast, go there, listen to it, and pick up whatever you want and go back and re-listen to these things, because they're up there and they're all free. TomMattShow.com. All of our sponsors are there, all of our friends. It's easy to navigate. We've put a ton of time into that website, and it works. I mean, it's very navigable, and it's a fun place to go. Lots of good stuff there. All right. My guest today, Matt Johnson, president of On Target Living. I want everybody to get your pencils ready, get your phones ready, jot down all this information that Matt's about to give you, because this is something, and I've said this several times during this episode, and I'm going to say it one more time. On Target Living helped launch me into a place in my life that I would not have been able to do by myself. No way, because I just didn't have the knowledge. And you find these people that can help you with the knowledge and stop searching. And like Matt was talking about energy and time, and we're having a discussion about energy and time. Why waste the time when you can find a source to help you with your energy? On Target Living is your place you want to go. And how do they find you, Matt?
I mean, that's a great question. Every different channel, from LinkedIn to Instagram. But I would say the number one way is you got to learn about who we are. And the best way to do that, I think, is our weekly podcast, Rest, Eat, Move, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. We also have a video version on our app. But our website's great, ontargetliving.com, and everything in between. The only thing I'll tell you that makes us unique, well, there's many things that make us unique, but if you call us, you email us, you will hear from us. And I think that's something in today's world that's becoming harder and harder to communicate with these businesses.
How often, you said you're maybe 20% speaking. If people want to reach out to you for speaking engagements, what could they expect from you as a professional speaker? You've been speaking for a long time now. You're excellent. What would you like to tell people about your speaking engagements? Yeah,
I mean, we're still speaking as much as we want to. It's more of we want to work with the people that are really want us versus maybe thinking, well, what's the ROI? See, at the end of the day, we're usually the last speaker hired and the most valuable speaker that attends. And the reason is because we're talking about people's most precious commodity and asset, which is their health. Unfortunately, we got this mindset that it's too personal. We don't want to talk about it in the workplace. And the truth is, work life is blurred. And if we as companies and organizations and conferences, if you don't start investing in people's number one asset, and we're seeing this, people are going to be burned out, unhappy. They're going to have that silent quitting that we talk about. And so, we love speaking, and we'll always do the speaking.
And you guys are great at it. I mean, it's excellent. I've been to many of the presentations, the big ones, the smaller ones, all of them. They're all excellent. And the podcast is solid. I mean, just where we're going to go with this next topic here is feeding into what you want to do is building better habits. Make the podcast, the On Target Living podcast, the books, the website, make those things a habit. Just subscribe to them. When you subscribe to them, it's easy. They just show up. You know, you get a new episode, boom, it's there. You listen to it when you're on the treadmill or if you're out mowing the grass or whatever. Podcasts are the bomb. And so love it so much. Talking about to finish this show in this episode with Matt Johnson, president of On Target Living. Easy is never the answer. Perfect jumping off spot here. Habits. Okay. There's lots of books on habits. There's sticky habits. There's not so sticky habits. There's all kinds of different ways of looking at habits. There's growth mindset. There's fixed mindset. There's all kinds of psychology that goes into all of these things. But when it comes down to it, it really does come down to the small habits that are sustainable. Okay, Matt, you're the pro. Let's talk to people about how we can establish better habits. What's your platform?
You fed me with a lot of fuel today. Self-narcissism, that's a new one for me, but it makes a lot of sense. It's what I talk about a lot. If you want to give, if you want to radiate what you're designed to do, you got to somewhat be selfish. You got to put the oxygen mask on yourself. And so number one is prioritizing and valuing this thing called your health. And so whether it's a sticky habit or not sticky habit, or you're a growth mindset or a fixed mindset, I think it begins with self-awareness of what is possible. Number two, once you have the what is possible, you want to get specific on what do you want. What is it that you want to accomplish? In your case, you probably wanted to feel good, and you've told your story so many times. In my case, what I want is the natural energy that I was designed to have. And I have this barometer because I can't track it. There's not a wearable that does it, that I know when I feel good and I know when I'm not feeling what I am capable of. And so you got to get specific on what you want, whether it's lose weight, not take your acid reflux medication, or get your blood work in line. Get specific with what you want. Then you got to tap into this internal motivation called your why. Why do you want this thing? Do you want to lose weight, but why? Because if weight was such a powerful motivator, if it was a powerful driver, we wouldn't have 80% of the population that can be prescribed this medication called Ozempic. Because weight is not a powerful driver, and it's a symptom. Being overweight is a symptom of not being healthy. And then we got to do small steps, and that's what I think your question is. What are some steps? I think there's 3 big steps. Number one, are you getting 8 hours of sleep? If you answer no, that'd be the first thing that I would prioritize. Are you doing Epsom salt baths? Are you unplugging from technology 30 minutes before bed, 30 minutes after you wake up? If you're trying to be healthy, perform at your best, if you're an entrepreneur, you need 8 hours of sleep. Now, there's seasons, there's cycles where we're not getting 8 hours of sleep, but that's the number one investment. Number two, I'll talk about water, and all these things are great, and making upgrades and carbs, proteins, and fats. This is like a little infomercial, but this is the truth. This is a true story. I got a gentleman that called me this morning. He's got MS. He's 30 years old. He said, what do I do? I said, the first thing that most people need to do, specifically with some kind of autoimmune disease, you need to get more omega-3 fatty acids. Why? 95% of your listeners, Tom, are deficient in omega-3 fatty acids. That's our signature product. It's called Alaskan cod liver oil. And the last habit is moving your body daily and creating this movement mindset of, I need to move my body for the physical benefits, but more importantly, it's the psychological benefits. We know that you're 1.5 times less likely to have anxiety and depression when you move your body on a regular basis. That blows any SSRI or any psychological medication out of the water. Yet only 12% of society, 87% of society doesn't, but only 12% of society moves their body on a regular basis. So those are the small baby steps. And the last thing is you measure. You got to measure. If you're not measuring, if you don't know what you're trying to do, and if it's working, it's not working, again, these are things you dabble in. And as you hear me talk about this, it's not easy. It's super simple, but it's not easy.
That's the whole point. The whole point is, and what I do with some of my performance coaching is baking it down into what I call the prime objective, and eliminating all of the bull crap and finding the 3 or 4 things that are going to help you get to that goal. What are those 3 things? That's your prime. And when you have that prime, and let me tell you guys, I've worked with a lot of people on this. It works. You do exactly what Matt's talking about. I learned all of this stuff from Matt and his dad, Chris Johnson, from On Target Living. Matt, I need a takeaway from you. I got a couple of minutes yet. I want to give you plenty of time for a takeaway on our first episode back for a long time, and I'm definitely going to have you back. It's been an awesome opportunity to talk to you and all of the information you've given to us. I hope everybody gets a chance to listen to this whole episode because it's full of good information. What's your takeaway for your first visit back to Tom Matt Show?
Well, I was thinking about that. I come prepared. I always do. I did this segment on the dopamine culture. There's this amazing graph that's telling us through the last maybe 100 years, the difference of dopamine triggers. And so I'll give you an example. Media went from newspaper to TV, and now it's social media. And one of the things that you see in this dopamine culture is everything is designed to be easier, quicker, faster, more attention grabbing. And that's a slippery slope. And so the one takeaway to me is sometimes you got to search for that hard stuff, that stuff in the mud. I tell my kids all the time when they yell, I'm so bored, after they just were watching a movie with no commercials. They could have any food they wanted. They've been outside, they've been playing, we've been doing all these things, and they still say they're bored. I do believe we're on a slippery slope to when we're trying to avoid all this boredom, all this hard stuff. I don't know about you, but when I go mow the lawn or spread mulch or clean the house, it's very fulfilling. You complete some of these tasks. And so I think the takeaway is I want you to start searching for some hard habits. And once they become habits, then they become rituals. And you know what? Then you don't have to think about them. And I think that's the takeaway is we gotta do harder stuff that become rituals. And to me, the success down the road is the secret sauce.
And then you can buy more wheatgrass and stay alive till you're 125 years old. And you know what?
Yeah, what's your number? My dad's was 104, mine's 120. How long you want to live?
I've always said on the radio show, Matt, I want to make it to 100. If I make it over 100, 104 with your dad, I'll be thrilled. And with that, I have to close this bad boy. Always remember, before you can share love with others, you must love yourself first. Go to On Target Living's website, get their app, however you want to do it. Thanks to Matt Johnson for being with me, Sandy, Craig, Brock, Jamie, all of our sponsors. It's all good. Anya Gerstenberg for doing her work, which she's done. We will talk to you next weekend, everybody. Have a great week. Go out and ignite your life. Good day now. Remember, the Tom Matt Show is a production of Boomers Rock Media. We want to bring your story to life. Lastly, I want to say thank you to Mitch Anderson, our producer. We are out.
The Tom Matt Show is produced by Mitch Anderson of Black Circle Studios. Original music from the Source of Light and Power by the Ark of All.